Assalamu alaikum. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. Okay, so we'll just start our discussion from where we left yesterday. So we discussed about boundary layer solutions. So we discussed that we have different equations. We have Navier-Stokes equations that can solve the boundary layer flow problem for us, right? So if there is no boundary layer, for example, if we have a flat plate like this, because of boundary layer we have a profile like this, and we say that because of this profile we have shear stress acting over here, or friction force also. This is also called shear stress, shear force, or friction force, right? And then we also say that in this case the pressure force is constant. So the pressure force P in this case is constant. It doesn't change. Right now, in the absence of boundary layer flow, if we don't have any boundary layer flow, then what? If we don't have any boundary layer flow, then this will just be streamlines passing along straight path like this. Okay, just hold on for a second. So in that case, it will be streamlines that will be passing in straight line across the flat plate. In this case, we won't have any shear stress. There won't be any shear stress. So that is one thing is for sure, excuse me, that the shear stress is because of the boundary layer thickness. So when we have boundary layer thickness, we have shear force that is acting on the surface, and as a result of that we have forces that are generated on the surface. Most of the rail flows that we deal with all have all develop boundary layer flows on their surfaces because of the effects of viscosity, which are maximum on the surface, and as you move away from the surface the effects of viscosity decreases, right? That just this is just a recap of what I already told you. So as an example, if you have two flat plates and one is moving with velocity u when acted upon by force F, and the other one is stationary, that means u is 0 in this case, and the flow is coming in this direction, and this is y-axis. So the velocity profile will be like this: 0 on the bottom plate and u on the top plate. And since if this distance delta y is very small, the profile will change linearly. So in that case, we define tau, shear stress, as kinematic viscosity, the delta u change in velocity, which is given here, over delta y. So this is called Newton's law of viscosity. So you can clearly see here that in case of boundary layer flow, this gradient curly u over curly y changes significantly, right? So this change in the boundary layer is significant, whereas if you look at the plane uniform flow, there is no change in gradient, velocity gradient, since velocity is flowing with uniform magnitude. Right now, these types of these types of boundary layer flows can be approximately can be their physics can be represented by Navier-Stokes equation. Navier-Stokes equation, if you call, consists of continuity equation, which is conservation of mass, and momentum equation. So we saw that if we apply x momentum equation, we can represent this parabolic profile of a boundary layer flow, right? So now Prendtl and his student Blasius, they tried to come up with analytical solution by solving this equation, X momentum and continuity equation, and they got this result. So these are the results for laminar flow only. We discussed these are the results for laminar flow only. In this case, these are the results when flow is coming in contact with the flat plate and the flow is in the laminar region. When the flow, whether the flow is laminar or turbulent, we discussed, excuse me, it depends on RE value. If REX is defined as the local Reynolds number, and where X is this distance X from any distance X from in this direction, X direction. So Rex was defined as Ux over kinematic viscosity, where U is the incoming flow. Now you can see that if Rex, we discussed Rex is less than 2 into 10 raised to the power 5, the flow is laminar. If Rex is between and less than 5 into 10 raised to the power 5, the flow is transitioning to turbulent. And if Rex is greater than 5 into 10 raised to the power 5, the flow becomes fully turbulent. Now, if U and the properties of fluid are constant, this Rex will only change with X. So there will be X critical. X, when X will be greater than X critical, the flow will be turbulent. When X is less than X critical, flow will be laminar. Right, so we define this. Now there is another thing, some people say that if we have flat plate like this, some people just use two convention. They say that if this is the laminar boundary flow, laminar boundary layer, then we have transition, this starts becoming thinner, transition, and then the boundary layer becomes more thinner and grow in size. This is turbulent. Some people say that this transition can also be considered as turbulent. So they say that if Re is less than 2 into 10 raised to the power 5, the flow is the flow is laminar. And if Re is greater than 2 into 10 raised to the power 5, the flow becomes turbulent. Right? Some people use this convention. Let me check. Okay, so I actually have a small doubt here, but I will double check that. I think I'll just double check this thing also. Maybe it is Re less than 5 into 10 raised to the power 5 is laminar, and Re greater than 5 into 10 raised to the power 5 is turbulent. That means that the laminar and the transition, the people, they combine them and say that the flow can be considered as laminar and transition in this range. And then when Re is greater than 5 into 10 raised to the power 5 in this range, it becomes turbulent. But I will double check this and I will let you know because you might have to use this for the exam also. Okay, so now after Prandtl-Blasius solution, they came up with the boundary layer thickness, which was sigma. What is boundary layer thickness? We already discussed that boundary layer thickness is that distance where the income from the surface, where the u velocity becomes 0.99 of incoming flow velocity, which is u. Yeah. So this thickness from the surface to that point is boundary layer thickness. So they came up with a value of boundary layer thickness which was changing with square root. So sigma here is directly proportional to square root of x. Then We also saw that we can convert this into in terms of Reynolds number like this. And then this is the boundary layer displacement thickness. Boundary layer displacement thickness, if you recall, it is like this. If you have incoming flow, because of boundary layer, the velocity profile will be reduced by u minus u. So this area and this area are the same. So they are equal like this, right? So we discussed about this. So this is called boundary layer displacement, and then that can also be represented in terms of rex, and similarly this is momentum thickness, that can also be represented in terms of rex. So when there is reduction in the velocity, the momentum and the mass flow both are reduced. So this is how we can calculate their reduction. And then based on this, we can also define the value of shear stress, which is this stress, shear stress or friction stress, tau omega, and it is given like this. And then we can convert this expression into Reynolds number. So you can see that shear stress is inversely proportional to Rex. So if we increase Reynolds number, the shear stress will decrease. And then this shear stress, which is in newtons per meter square, can be non-dimensionalized and represented as CFX, coefficient of friction. And then that will be tau omega divided by half rho u square. So we are dividing it by this quantity to non-dimensionalize the shear force. And we come up with this equation, right? And then if we integrate this equation, if we integrate this equation over the entire length of the plate, which is L, then we get the total drag force acting on that plate. So this was for laminar flow past flat plate only, right? Now we discussed about transition, we discussed about Reynolds number, discussed about these disturbances, and then this was an example of transition from laminar to turbulent flow for a beach flow. So you can see that this is an example of a beach where the water is coming to and fro, and then you can see here that this is also considered as flow past a flat plate, because if you look at beach or shore, it can be approximated as a flat surface. Now now this is the difference in boundary layer thickness between laminar transition and turbulent flow. The transition from laminar to turbulent flow involves a noticeable change in the shape of the boundary layer flow velocity. So you can clearly see here that this is this dotted profile. So on our y-axis we have the y distance in feet, and on our x-axis we have velocity u, small u, which is normalized by the incoming flow velocity. When we say this small u, which is a function of y, is divided by u, that means meter per second or feet per second will cancel with feet per second. So this is non-dimensional form of flow velocity, right? So and that we use these non-dimensional forms to conduct parametric studies also. So now you can see here that in case of laminar flow, there is considerable steepness, or you can see that the flow is extending, profile is extending like this and then becoming flat or straight at this point, right? And then on the other hand, if you look at transitional flow, the profile is flatter than laminar, and if you look at the turbulent flow, it is more flatter. So as we go from laminar to turbulent flow, the velocity profile becomes flatter, have a large velocity gradient. It also has large velocity gradient, which is curly u over curly y, because you can see that now this velocity profile is changing considerably in y direction. That means the gradient curly u over curly y is also increasing as the flow becomes transitions from laminar to turbulent flow and produces a larger boundary layer thickness than do the laminar profiles. Another observation is that as we transition, so this is point 1, this is 1, 1 means u over u is 1. In other words, small u becomes equal to u. So this is the end of boundary layer. So you can see clearly see here for laminar flow, the boundary layer ends at around this point. Now this figure is for a flat plate, in which case the incoming flow velocity is 89 feet. So u, so इस case में u जो है that is 89 feet per second, which is constant. Similarly, though this is the case of air flow, so kinematic viscosity भी constant है. तो इसका मतलब है रेनॉल्ड्स नंबर कैसे चेंज हो रहा है? रेनॉल्ड्स नंबर चेंज होता है जब हम आर ई एक्स इक्वल्स टू यू एक्स ओवर म्यू, सो एक्स चेंज करते हैं, ये लेंथ एक्स चेंज कर रहे हैं. अब आप इसमें देखिए जब हमने when we took this case of laminar flow, in that case x was 5.25 feet. 5.25 फीट के ऊपर फ्लो लैमिनार है. जब हमने ट्रांजिशन की बात की, ये जो फिल्ड ब्लैक डॉट्स, इस केस में द एक्स वाज इंक्रीज टू 6.76 feet, and then finally when the flow becomes turbulent flow, x equals to 8. So you can clearly see as x increases, the flow becomes turbulent because the Reynolds number is increasing with x, because u and mu is constant in this case, right? Now at this point you can see that for laminar flow the velocity profile thickness is given by this length. Now if you look at turbulent flow, for turbulent flow this is the boundary layer thickness. The boundary layer thickness is thinner than laminar flow, and it has also increase in length. So this is the characteristic of turbulent flow. So turbulent flow की जो आप boundary layer होगी वो thinner होगी इस तरह, और उसकी लेंथ बढ़ जाएगी, ठीक है. लेकिन laminar flow की जो होगी वो फ्लैट होगी, इस तरह होगी, डेवलप हो रही होगी, और ये यहाँ खत्म हो जाएगी. इसी तरह जब आगे मूव करेगा तो ये फ्लैटनेस इस तरह होना शुरू हो जाएगी और इंक्रीज होगी. अल्टीमेटली ये मजीद थिक होती रहेगी, इस तरह इंक्रीज करती रहेगी. और जब इस केस में जो है इनर्शियल फोर्स, क्योंकि प्रेशर कांस्टेंट है, जब इनर्शियल फोर्स किस वजह से आ रहा है इस केस में, रेनॉल्ड्स नंबर जो है वो यू एक्स ओवर म्यू है. जब इनर्शियल फोर्स जो कि यू इनकमिंग फ्लो की वजह से है, और जब ये विस्कस फोर्स जो कि शेयर स्ट्रेस की वजह से है, जब ये दोनों बैलेंस कर जाएंगे, व्हेन दे बोथ विल बी बैलेंस्ड, उस केस में वेलोसिटी प्रोफाइल फर्दर चेंज नहीं होगा. when these both inertial force will balance the viscous force, in that case there will not be further change in the boundary layer flow, and then we call that type of boundary layer as fully developed बाउंड्री लेयर. ठीक है, क्योंकि इस दौरान अगर देखा जाए तो ये बाउंड्री लेयर इस तरह इंक्रीज कर रही है, इधर कम थी, इधर बाउंड्री लेयर इंक्रीज कर रही है, इस तरह इंक्रीज कर रही है. और वो इंक्रीज इस वजह से हो रहा है क्योंकि जैसे एक्स इंक्रीज हो रहा है तो इनर्शियल फोर्सेस इंक्रीज होते जा रही हैं. जब इनर्शियल फोर्सेस इंक्रीज हो रहे हैं तो वो जो है विस्कस फोर्सेस भी चेंज हो रही है, दोनों की चेंजेस की वजह से वो जो है आपकी बाउंड्री लेयर चेंज हो रही है. जब ये दोनों बैलेंस हो जाएंगे, इनमें चेंज नहीं होगी, तो फिर बाउंड्री लेयर चेंज नहीं होगी, और इस केस में वी से दैट द फ्लो इज फुली डेवलप्ड फ्लो. Okay, so this is about transition from laminar to turbulent flow. Now we'll quickly do an example on this. So we have a fluid flows steadily past a flat plate. So I'll just draw this figure first. So we have a flat plate like this. A fluid flows past a flat plate with a velocity of 10 feet per second. So ये जो velocity है u equals to 10 feet per second. At approximately what location will the boundary layer become turbulent? So हमने find करना है x critical. जहां जिसके बाद जो है फ्लो टर्बुलेंट हो जाए। पहले इस तरह है, बाद में ये इस तरह हो जाए, ठीक है। एंड हाउ थिक इज द बाउंड्री लेयर एट दैट पॉइंट इफ द फ्लो, एंड वी ऑल्सो इन दिस केस वी गिवन जो है ना, हमने फाइंड करना है एक तो व्हाट विल बी द बाउंड्री, एक्स क्रिटिकल फाइंड करना है जहां फ्लो जो है टर्बुलेंट हो रही है, और दूसरा हमने फाइंड करना है सिग्मा, सॉरी नॉट सिग्मा, एंड हाउ थिक, यस सिग्मा, बाउंड्री लेयर थिकनेस फाइंड करनी है, ये डिस्टेंस, ये एक्स क्रिटिकल के ऊपर क्या थिकनेस होगी हमारी, ये हमने फाइंड करनी है सिग्मा, ठीक है। एंड हाउ थिक इज द बाउंड्री लेयर एट दैट पॉइंट इफ द फ्लूइड इज वाटर at 60 degrees, standard air, or glycerine at 68 Fahrenheit. Now, why is he giving us temperature for all the cases? When water is at 60 Fahrenheit, viscosity at 60 Fahrenheit will be different. Viscosity is also a function of temperature. इसलिए वो टेम्परेचर भी साथ दे रहा है कि 60 फ़ारेनहाइट के ऊपर जो भी विस्कोसिटी होगी वाटर की, वी कैन यूज दैट टू कैलकुलेट the Reynolds number. Similarly, glycerine and air will have different viscosities than water, and given their temperatures, we can find out the exact values from the tables, standard tables. Okay, so for any fluid, the laminar boundary layer thickness is found from, so we already discussed that Prandtl and Brescia's equation showed that this is the equation for finding the boundary layer thickness, right? And then the boundary layer remains laminar up to X critical. We know that REX critical, maybe we know that it is equal to 5 into 10 raised to the power 5. Less than this will be laminar, more than this will be turbulent. When we talk, say it is laminar plus transition, right? And then it is equal to U X critical divided by mu. X critical is the distance where the flow becomes turbulent. Now, if I rearrange this equation, I can calculate the value of X critical from here, right? Now, we know that, as I discussed, I think this is correct. So now you just assume that laminar flow will be laminar for flat plate when REX is less than 5 into 10 raised to the power 5, and it will be turbulent when REX is greater than 5 into 10 raised to the power 5. So in order to find the X critical, we use a REX critical as 5 into 10 raised to the power 5 in this equation. And then we solve it. So now X critical will be here. So now you can see that X critical is coming in terms of kinematic viscosity. So now when we give kinematic viscosity for the three different fluids that we have, we can find X critical for them. Now, once we find this value of X critical, we can substitute this value of X critical in sigma, boundary layer thickness, at that critical value of X, and that will give us this 354 into kinematic viscosity. Now we can form a table in which we can just change the value. Now we have calculated X critical in terms of viscosity. We have calculated sigma or boundary layer thickness in terms of kinematic viscosity. And then we know that the kinematic viscosity of water, air, and glycerine at given conditions are these three values respectively. Right now, you can see that the glycerine is the most viscous out of these three, and then now we put these values in these equations, and then we calculate the X critical value for all the three. So you can see that the values of X critical for all the three of them are different. As the viscosity increases, the value of X critical also increases. So that means for more viscous fluid, there will be delay in transition from laminar to turbulent flow. And similarly, these are the three values of X critical. So similarly, you can see that the boundary layer thickness of water is lower than air, which is lower than glycerin. So this is how we calculate the value of x critical, where the flow transitions to from laminar to turbulent flow. Okay, so any questions so far? Okay, so now we move to the next topic. So now we will talk about some of the characteristics of turbulent boundary layer flow. So most of the, as we discussed, most of the real engineering applications that we in fluid that we deal with are all examples of turbulent flows. We rarely encounter laminar flows in real life because normally all the flows that we have in real uh, life are all very high speed flows. So mostly they are all turbulent flows. So turbulence, as you can see here, is the structure of the turbulent boundary layer is very complex, random, and irregular. So now, what do you observe from this boundary layer? This is a turbulent boundary layer shown. So this is a flat plate. On our y-axis, we have the distance from the flat plate. This is the boundary layer thickness of this velocity profile, where this u is 0.99 u, right? And then you can see here that this velocity profile, if we have number of particles that are flowing past this velocity profiles, all those particles will be following very complex, random, and irregular path. Because of this complex, random, irregular path, it is very difficult to find exact solution of the momentum equations in this case, right? So now you can see that there is a lot of mixing between the particles. When the particles mix with each other, they exchange energy, they exchange momentum, and as a result they also lose energy as in the form of heat. So this complexity in the turbulent boundary layer becomes makes it very difficult to determine it analytically. So the velocity at any location in the turbulent flow is unsteady in a random fashion. Unsteady is one thing which is changing with time. And that unsteadiness is random actually, very chaotic actually, as you can see from the paths. The flow can be thought of as jumbled mix of intervened finite sized eddies or swirls. We discussed in the last chapter 6 that vortices, eddies, and swirls are all the same thing, and they represent the spinning of the flow. So the flow can be thought of as a jumbled mix of intervened finite sized eddies or swirls, considerably more than is associated with the mixing found in laminar flow, where it is confined to the molecular scale. So in case of laminar flow, the particles of fluid, they do not mix with each other. At molecular level they might be moving randomly, but if you look at individual fluid particles, they move in straight line. But in case of turbulent flow, you can evidently see the particles mixing. Although there is considerable random motion of fluid particles perpendicular to the plate, there is very little net transfer of mass across the boundary layer. The largest flow rate by far is parallel to the plate, right? So that makes sense because we have velocity profile like this, and then this is the incoming. So the mass transfer or the mass actually is flowing always in x-axis parallel to the plate. Momentum, there is, however, considerable net transfer of x momentum, component of momentum perpendicular to the plate because of the random motion of the particle. So how does the momentum transfer takes place? Now we can clearly see here that fluid particles moving towards the plate. So these fluid particles that are moving towards the plate in the y direction, because the incoming flow is coming in this direction. So when it comes in this direction, there will be fluid particles moving towards the boundary layer in y direction like this. This particle, this like this, they will all be moving in this direction on also. So fluid particles moving towards the plate in y direction have some of excess momentum, because this is incoming flow. It will have more momentum to this flow which is retarded now. So when the fluid particles moving in y direction, they come in contact with the boundary layer flow. Happens in fluid particles moving towards the plate in the y direction have some of their excess momentum coming from higher velocity area removed by the plate. When they come into low momentum area, their momentum is removed, right? Similarly, conversely, particles moving away from the plate gain momentum from the fluid, because that fluid outside the boundary layer, the fluid has more momentum because it has more velocity. So the fluid particles from the boundary layer, when they come in contact with those particles which have high momentum, they gain the momentum. The net result is that the plate acts as a momentum sink, continually extracting momentum from the fluid. So this makes sense because of the velocity profile. The momentum is reduced, and then whatever flow that comes inside that boundary layer, the momentum of that is also reduced. So the boundary layer act as a momentum sink. For laminar flows, such cross-stream transfer of these properties takes place solely on the molecular level. So this is the case. These momentum, why do we have these sinks? Because now the fluid particle is moving like this in x and y direction both. In case of turbulent flow, we saw. So in this case, because it is moving in x and y direction both, in this case we will have momentum sink. But for laminar flow is always straight, always straight. It only has x component, no y component. So in that case, this momentum sink doesn't take place. For turbulent flow, the randomness is associated with fluid particle mixing. As you can see here, when the fluid particles they flow, they mix with each other. Consequently, the shear force for turbulent boundary layer flow is considerably greater than it is for the laminar boundary layer flow. That is also makes sense, because for the turbulent flow, we have higher speeds. When we have higher speeds, and then that will ultimately result in, and then we have chaotic mixing, also irregular flows, that will all contribute to additional shear force. And then since there is no precision.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, please.
What does it mean by removing the momentum when the momentum of the particle is in the y direction because it is traveling towards the plate? How does the x component of the previously mentioned momentum remove it? I did not understand that.
um, Let me see this one.
You're talking about the momentum of that particle is removed by the plate. How does it get removed? But matlab ke it is traveling in the y direction, and the momentum induced by the plate is towards the x, as you mentioned, because of the random motion of the particle back and forth about the boundary layer. How does it get removed?
Okay, yes, we'll see. The thing is that first we need to understand this thing, that this is incoming flow, right? This is incoming flow, and then when this incoming flow comes in contact with this flat plate, we have boundary layer like this, right? Now we discussed in the last lecture also that because of this reduction in velocity, u minus u, so there will be a point, there will be reduction in mass and momentum both. मोमेंटम जो है दैट इज ऑल्सो अ फंक्शन ऑफ वेलोसिटी. सो जब बाउंड्री लेयर के अंदर वेलोसिटी डिक्रीज होगी तो मोमेंटम भी डिक्रीज होगा. दैट मेक्स सेंस, राइट? राइट
Yes, it
नाउ,
does.
ठीक है. अब जब आपकी टर्बुलेंट फ्लो आ रही है, तो टर्बुलेंट फ्लो और लेमिनार फ्लो में फर्क ये है कि ये एग्जांपल है लेमिनार फ्लो की, जब वो स्ट्रेट पाथ्स में मूव कर रही है, ठीक है. अब जब टर्बुलेंट फ्लो आएगी, वो एक दूसरे से मिक्स करेगी इस तरह,
Yes, sir.
ठीक है. जब वो एक मिक्स करेगी तो वो सिर्फ एक्स एक्सिस में मूव नहीं कर रही होगी, वो वाई एक्सिस में भी मूव कर रहे होंगे कुछ पार्टिकल्स, ठीक है.
Exactly.
ठीक है.
Exactly.
हाँ, उसके जब वाई एक्सिस में मूव करे होंगे तो हमें कुछ ऐसे पार्टिकल्स भी आएंगे फ्लो में जो कि हमें लगेगा कि नेट अगर इसका हम रिजल्टेंट निकालेंगे तो हम कह सकते हैं कि इसकी दो मूवमेंट्स होगी, एक एक्स एक्सिस में हो रही होगी
यस,
और एक वाई एक्सिस में आ रही होगी।
वाई में।
तो वाई एक्सिस में जो पार्टिकल्स अंदर की तरफ मूव कर रहे होंगे, जब वो इस एरिया के अंदर जाएंगे तो दे विल फील देयर मोमेंटम विल बी रिड्यूस्ड बिकॉज ऑफ द लो मोमेंटम एरिया रीजन हियर।
ओह,
ठीक है।
ओके।
और जो ऊपर जा रहे होंगे वो क्योंकि इनकमिंग फ्लो का मोमेंटम ज्यादा है वो गेन करेंगे।
ठीक है, समझ आ गई।
ठीक है, क्योंकि
थैंक
जो
यू।
फ्लो है वो बहुत क्योटिक है और उसके उसमें वो हर डायरेक्शन में मूव कर रही है वो। ठीक है।
एग्जैक्टली।
और लेकिन लेमिनार जो है वो सिर्फ आपकी स्ट्रेट लाइन में मूव करती है इस तरह। ये फर्क है दोनों।
हाँ,
ठीक है।
सही हो गया। थैंक यू।
नो प्रॉब्लम। Okay, so now since there is no precision, so consequently the shear force we discussed it will increase for the turbulent boundary layer flow. Since there is no precision expression for the shear stress in the turbulent flow, there is no exact solution for turbulent boundary layer flows. This says that because of this characteristics, random flow and random mixing and chaotic flow of turbulent flow, it is very difficult to find the exact solution for turbulent boundary layer. Some of the people they have used some assumptions and they have tried to come up with analytical solutions to these turbulent flows. So I'll show you their equations now. So you can see here. So these results, some of these results are from the experimental analysis because we discussed in when we started this lecture that there are three approaches to fluid mechanics. Okay? Being an engineer, we should be familiar with these. The first one is theoretical. उसकी equation हमारे आ गई और we need extensive mathematical solutions for that. The second one is experimental and the third one is numerical. जब इतने complicated cases आते हैं तो theoretical solution जो है वो fail हो जाता है, तो फिर engineers they have to go to experimental analysis. They perform experiments, they put a lot of sensors on different points of the workpiece or specimen, and they try to find out the displacements, velocities, momentum from there, right? So this is what people have done. So these some of these results, one such as 1/7 power law, that has been obtained from experimental analysis, right? So now you can see that for bound, these are we have these results for laminar flow. These laminar flow results were given by Prandtl and his student, which we already discussed. Now these results for turbulent boundary layer, in which case we have the boundary layer thickness given here, displacement thickness here, momentum thickness here, and local shear here. So you can see that they are different from the laminar flow. These are all obtained from the experimental analysis, and that is called 1/7 power law. And similarly, these this indicates 1/7 law, and these results are obtained from 1/7 power law combined with empirical data for turbulent flow through smooth pipe. So we won't be going into the details of these, how we get these. Just remember that these are the equations that you will be using when we have turbulent flow. When we have laminar flow, we use these equations to calculate the boundary layer flows. And then when we have turbulence, then we use these equations, right? So now, in addition to Reynolds number, so we saw that Reynolds number has evident uh, effect on the transition from laminar to turbulent flow in case of a flat plate. That we understand now, right? Now, there is another factor that also affects the boundary layer, that is called surface roughness. We discussed about few cases of surface roughness, that once we have a flat, smooth plate will have negligible roughness, right? And now, for example, if we have another case where we have surface roughness like this, when flow comes in contact with both of these plates, the velocity profile will be significantly different because of this resistance offered at this point due to surface roughness. There are some equations or laws that we can also use to approximate flow velocity profiles on boundary layers. and I think that is out of scope. We won't be discussing that here. But when I give you an assignment on this topic, I will give you those additional laws also, and then you can try to solve those also, right? So now in this case you can clearly see that the surface roughness also has evident effect on the velocity profile. Some of the examples of surface roughnesses, as we discussed, is when we are analyzing atmospheric flow around farms, when we are analyzing skyscrapers or buildings, flow around buildings, and then in the vicinity of those buildings we have trees. So those trees, they also act as they also have their roughness, right? Another example is when the water, when it flows on the beach, on the sand, what happens, that sand also is a rough surface, and it offers resistance to flow, and then the boundary layer in case of that will also be different. So when we have sea beds क्या होते हैं, जब जो ऑफशोर ऑयल एंड गैस जब एक्सट्रैक्ट करते हैं, तो पाइप्स जो होते हैं वो सी बेड के ऊपर माउंट की जाती है, जो कि बीनीथ द सी होते हैं, ठीक है? उस सी बेड का जो होता है, उसके जो सी बेड है, दैट इज कम्बिनेशन ऑफ सैंड एंड सॉइल. सो वो जो सैंड और सॉइल है, जब उसके ऊपर पानी की फ्लो आती है, दैट ऑल्सो इज एन एग्जाम्पल ऑफ रफ बाउंड्री लेयर, ठीक है? सो रफनेस ऑल्सो प्लेज अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट रोल when finding or when calculating the flow conditions or forces on a structure. So in general, the drag coefficient for a flat plate of length L is a function of both Reynolds number REL and relative roughness, which is defined as E over L. So this E is called surface roughness coefficient. So isko, this is called surface roughness, and it is measured in meters. ठीक है, ये इस तरह मेजर करते हैं, ये इसका ये डिस्टेंस होता है जो रफनेस का, वो ई कहते हैं इसको, ठीक है? एंड देन व्हेन वी डिवाइड दिस ई बाय एल, एल इज द लेंथ ऑफ द प्लेट, so we are just non-dimensionalizing it. So meters will cancel with meters, so it is non-dimensional actually. So now how does it vary? So you can see here, this is the graph of CDF, where CDF is the drag force along the plate. On now, what is the difference? Just note the difference. We defined two. CFX was drag friction coefficient at any distance x, और CDX जो है वो है टोटल लेंथ के ऊपर जो फोर्स है, शेयर फोर्स है, और नॉन डायमेंशनल वो CDF है along the entire length of the plate. So y axis में CDF आ रहा है, और x axis में जो हमारे पास REL आ रहा है. REL जो है, now REX was when we were considering a small distance x. REL जो है वो डिफाइन हो रहा है बेस्ड ऑन द लेंथ ऑफ द प्लेट, वो उसको REL कहते हैं, और जो REX है वो UX ओवर म्यू है, ठीक है? ये जो x एक्सिस में है दैट इज REL. सो वी आर कैलकुलेटिंग इट फॉर डिफरेंट लेंथ्स ऑफ प्लेट. अगर लेंथ ऑफ प्लेट कांस्टेंट हम लेंथ ऑफ प्लेट चेंज करते हैं तो x चेंज होता है, ठीक है? अब आप इसमें देखें कि ये ट्रांजिशन है, CDF जो है, फॉर ट्रांजिशन एज वी इंक्रीज Reynolds number, CDF decreases like this in the laminar flow region, right? When in the transition region, it is very haphazard. So in this is the case in the transition region, ये, और turbulent region के अंदर ये dotted है. So in all the three regions, when we increase Reynolds number in that region, the drag force is going to decrease, right? Now if you look at the effect of surface roughness on drag force, you will see here, when the surface roughness is more, higher surface roughness, this is the value of the drag force is more. When we decrease the surface roughness, the drag force also decreases. So you can clearly see with a decrease in the surface roughness, the drag force decreases. With increase in the surface roughness, the drag force increases. So now these are the empirical equations for the flat plate drag coefficients obtained from experimental analysis. So you can see that for laminar flow, this curve can be approximated by this equation as a function of REL. For CDF, ट्रांजिशनल फ्लो जो कि इस 5 × 10⁵ और इससे थोड़ी सी कम होती है, इससे कम होती है, उस केस में हमारे पास CDF ये है, और जब turbulent smooth plate होगी CDF becomes this. So these three results are for smooth boundary layer जिसकी रफनेस नहीं है, ठीक है, और ये तीन जो पहले तीन केसेस है वो इसी को डिपिक्ट कर रहे हैं. अब आप इसमें देखें कि ट्रांजिशनल और टर्बुलेंट केस में क्या फर्क है, इस टर्म का फर्क है. सिर्फ टर्बुलेंस में इस केस को इसको निकाल दिया है तो हमारे पास ये ट्रांजिशनल में ये एडिशनल टर्म है, जब इसको आप निकाल देंगे तो वो टर्बुलेंट बन जाएगा. तो इसका मतलब है कि 5 × 10⁵ के ऊपर आप ये इस्तेमाल कर सकते हैं, और जब RE greater than 5 × 10⁵ होगा then you can use this equation, and if RE is less than 5 × 10⁵, then you can use this equation. Okay, so and then the last equation is giving you the change in CDF as a function of surface roughness E by L, epsilon by L. So now you can see here, so these are the empirical values that are obtained from experimental analysis. Right now, before we finish today, I'll just quickly go through an example and then we'll finish for today. So now the water ski shown in the figure moves through a 70, so this is the water ski shown in the figure, moves through a 70 Fahrenheit water, which is the temperature, with a velocity u. So the incoming flow velocity is u. We can either say that this is moving in this direction and the water is stationary, or equivalently we can say that this ski is stationary and it is subjected to incoming flow. So this is how we can pose this problem in both ways. The water ski shown in figure moves through 70 Fahrenheit water with a velocity u. Estimate the drag caused by the shear stress on the bottom of the ski for 0, which is less than u, which is less than 30 feet per second. So we have to calculate the drag force at this point. So now you can say that this is an example of a flat plate like this, and the flow is coming in this direction down, and then once the flow enters, it will have a profile like this. So you can also approximate this ski bottom as a flat plate. Now the width of this ski is like this. So the width is this distance b, and then the length is 4 feet. This is x0, and then this is x-axis, and this is where L is 4 feet. This is 2 feet. Right now the incoming flow is changing from 0 to 380. So we have to calculate for two cases. So first we calculate shear stress for 0, and then we calculate it for u, or maybe we can just plot it like this: 0, 1, 2, 3 to 30. If we have we can use it on we can do it on a computer. If we have the equation in terms of u of shear, if we have shear stress in terms of u, then we can simply plot it like this. Okay, so now the friction drag d caused by the shear stress at the bottom of the ski can be determined as, now first we have to determine whether the flow is laminar or turbulent, and then we can use the corresponding equation. So now this is the equation for df. Df equals to half rho. So we know that this is CDF. So CDF equals to df divided by half rho u square lb. Now if I rearrange this equation, I can calculate df from here. So now in this case, area this area of this is A equals to LB, L times B, this is surface area, density is 1.94. Now we are using British units in this case, but always remember in the exam you will be using SI units, not British units. So rho equals to 1.94 slugs per feet square, and kinematic, this is dynamic viscosity, mu is given here like this. So these are the properties that we will be using. Now df, based on these properties, if we put these values here, because this lb is basically area, so if we put these known values in this equation, then this df equation can be simplified in terms of u and df, cdf. Now the next step is to find the Reynolds number. So the first Reynolds number we get, you can see that Reynolds number in terms of U. Reynolds number is defined as rho U L over mu. We discussed that there are two types of viscosities. This is kinematic viscosity and it is given as mu, dynamic viscosity over rho. Since we are given this value here, then we can write Reynolds number based on this value. It becomes rho UL over mu, where this term rho over mu equals to 1 over mu, right? So we can also write it like this in terms of dynamic viscosity. Now we know the value of rho. U is also known. U is changing from 0, which is less than u, which is less than 30 feet per second. So we know the value of u. We know the value of kind dynamic viscosity also. So this gives us Re in terms of u, like this. Now the next step is to use this equation for transitional flow. CDF equals to 0.44555 feet divided by this equation, and we come up with this CDF value of 0.00308. Now yeah. Now, why are we using this equation? Because we know that u has maximum value of 30 feet per second. If we put this value here, right, in that case, the Reynolds number is coming in transitional flow regime, transitional regime. Since it is in transitional regime, that is why we are using this equation here, right? So now once we use this equation, we get 0.00308 CDF value. So this is for one case. Now, and then once we get this, we can calculate the value of DF from here by putting this value of Reynolds number and this value of U. Okay, and then if we plot this figure, it will be like this. Now since in our case the value of u is changing from 0 to 30, right? So if we calculate Reynolds number by changing it from 0 to 30 and we put it in this equation, right? And then from here we get df. So df will be varying like this. For 0 it will be 0, and as you increase the value of Reynolds number, you will see that the df will also increase like this, right? And the x critical will decrease. So on this x, then on this side of the plot we have x critical. So you can see that as we increase the u velocity, because the flow with increase in u, the flow is transitioning from laminar to turbulent. That means the x critical will also increase with u, like this. Sorry, it will decrease with u. So you can see that x critical at this point, at when it is close to 0, is 4, and as we increase the value of u, the x critical is decreasing. So that means when the flow becomes increasingly Reynolds turbulent, the value of x critical also decreases. Okay, and then this is the table that we referred to in this case. Okay, so now if you have any question about this, please feel free to ask. This is it for today. So in case if you have any question, please feel free to ask.
No, sir. Thank you so much.
Okay, so now, in case if you don't have any questions, so I'll just take your attendance now, and then I'll let you go. So make sure that you guys submit your assignment by today, and then next week we will see. I might give you a quiz on this, or and also a short assignment. So just come prepared with the quiz. So I'll share the slides so far with you today. So and then you can go through this also. So just give me I'll just take the attendance first.
Sir, what's the syllabus of the quiz? Everything
Syllabus,
that we have studied till now.
the syllabus of the quiz will be this chapter. Whatever we have studied in this chapter, it will be included, not previous.
Okay.
The quiz will be it's okay. The quiz will be a bit different. It will be based on these contents, but it will not be exactly the same. So you just try to understand everything. Okay, so I'll just stop the recording. Okay, I already took the attendance. So